Okay, thank you very much for coming. Welcome to our Primary 1 webinar. This is more for adults. I think you'll find if you've got your children with you, the chances are they're going to get bored pretty quickly. This is more information for you about what Primary 1 looks like. What I would say is that we've tried to answer all of the questions that people have asked us over the last couple of weeks, and questions that we think that you would probably want to know the answer to. If by the end of this we haven't answered everything and you do have things you want to ask us, you can either tweet using our Twitter page during the meeting, or there is a text function in the meeting, but it didn't work terribly well last time. So if you're able to wiggle the mouse around, you should find that there's a little speech bubble that appears. If you click on that, there's a text screen that comes down the side that everybody that's in the meeting can see. So you can always text us a question. And if we're not presenting at that time, we'll do our best to answer. But I think certainly most of the parents that came on Tuesday told us that we actually answered an awful lot of the questions that they already had when we did this. So this is just some contact information for us. I should probably just introduce our other presenters. So we've got Miss Montgomery here, who is one of the teachers for next year. She's our Primary 1C teacher. We should have Mrs. Palmer and Mrs. Liddell, but I think they're having some...
I'm here.
Oh, Mrs. Palmer's here. That's good. Sorry, you're not on my screen, Mrs. Palmer. That's why. So Mrs. Palmer is here as well. She's one of our Primary 1 teachers, and Mrs. Liddell hopefully will join us. She's having some issues with her laptop at the moment, but fingers crossed she'll be here a little bit later on. So if you haven't... Oh, you're here?
Hi, Mrs. McCard. I've had to join via my phone, sorry.
Okay. You're here, Mrs. Liddell. That's the main thing.
Sorry, I'm late.
I'm Mrs. McCarg, so I'm if you don't know me already, because I know we do have some new parents that are here with us today, I'm the deputy head for the early level in school. So my job is to look after the nursery and Primary 1. Okay, so you might see me a lot over the kind of the transition days that we have. So this is our Primary 1 team. We're going to talk to you a little bit about what Primary 1 looks like. We have asked for you to turn off your microphones and your cameras, simply because we have a lot of microphones on at once, it gets very noisy, there's a lot of feedback, and it means that you won't really be able to hear what we're saying. Cameras, if we've got lots of cameras on, it means that the presentation that we're showing you will appear much, much smaller, because what you'll have is lots of people as well. So that's why we've asked for you to do that. But obviously at the end, when we're doing the questions, you're more than welcome to turn your speakers back on. We're strictly speaking not supposed to video call with the children. That's just a council guideline for us. So that's why we've not arranged to do video chats with you through this. That's just something that we've been given instructions about. Okay, so let's make a start. This is our contact information, just so you can find this if you want to find out more about us. Okay, so what will school look like? This is a big question for everybody at the moment. So to keep in line with the government and the council guidance, because at the moment we have guidance coming in from the NHS, from the council and from the government about how to keep our children and ourselves safe once the building's reopened again in August. So one of the things that we're going to be doing is having the children going in and out through the fire door in their classroom. This is down the side of the building. So you'll see in the letters that I've sent out to you, if you go down the front of the front path, if you go around to the left-hand side and you follow that path round to the side, that's the lower wing. And there'll be signs on the doors that'll tell you which classroom is your child's classroom. Okay, but there will be staff there that will be able to meet you and talk you through it on the day. We'll meet you in the playground. So each class, at the moment, there are several different models. I wrote this at a time when we thought we were coming back at 33%. Those of you that have been following the news will have seen that there's 3 possible models for returning in August at the moment in Edinburgh. Children would be coming back in thirds, so only a third of them attending the school at once. Children could be coming back at 50%, which would be half of the school open at once, or we could all be back with everybody in at school at the same time, everybody full time. 3 possible options right now, and that decision will be made by the government and by the council, and we probably won't know about it until the end of July or the start of August. But what happens with our authority is that they put out information to everybody at once. So the schools won't get the information first. It will go out to parents, it'll go out on social media, it'll go out on the news, on Edinburgh Live, on Twitter. It will go to everybody at the same time, as well as being emailed into the schools. So you'll know at the same time that we do. If it is a part-time model, then the children would only be in school on Monday to Thursday, and Friday would be used for deep cleaning in preparation for the following week. I'm going to show you what those models look like on the next slide. So there's going to be markings in the playground to support social distancing for dropping off. As you know, if you're already a parent with us, that path down the side of the building is quite narrow. You've probably seen it when you've been coming to the nursery. So it is quite difficult. So that's one of the things that we're saying is after the first day of drop off, could you please just have one adult dropping off the child, just to minimize the number of people that we have in the playground, if possible. The first day is different because obviously you may want to come together, or you might want to have other people with you. There's spots on the playground just outside the doors to help the children with lining up and still distancing from each other. What I would suggest at the moment, because we don't know what the model is, if you haven't heard anything via all of the different social media methods that we talked about, if you keep checking our website, we'll keep that updated as soon as we know. Staff will be returning to the building on Monday the 10th of August. So we'll have the 10th and the 11th so that we can prepare for whichever one of these models we will be running at that time. So if you've not been able to get in touch with anybody, the school will be open for staff only from the 10th, so you should be able to contact us then. So school website is definitely the best place to look for information at the moment. As you can see at the bottom, we've got 2 different possible arrival and departure times. Again, both of these depend on which model that we're using. So we'll have to let you know that closer to our start date. Sorry, our PowerPoint's a little bit slow this afternoon. Oh, here we go. This is the 2 models that I talked about. So the one on the top is if we come back at 33%. So most of you, I think, might have received our letters by now because we posted them out on Monday. All of this has changed since then, unfortunately. So you don't have the most up-to-date information, but we felt we needed to tell you something so that you had some information about what you're coming back to. So you'll see at the top of your letter that you have your child's class, and then what group they would be in if we were coming back at 33%, and what group they would be in if we were coming back at 50%. So the top model here, this is our 33% model. So if your child is in the coral group, for instance, then she or he will just be in on a Wednesday. If your child's in the emerald group, they'll just be in on a Thursday. And then you can see the Mondays have been reallocated out. So you might have the odd Monday in there as well. If we come back at the 50% model, again, that should also be at the top as one of your options. This is the model down at the bottom here. Amber group would be in Monday and Tuesday, and Coral would be in Wednesday and Thursday, apart from the first week back where both groups have a day each. Now, this is just so you can see what this looks like. This will be put up again on the website when we know which model it is that we're going to be following. But this was just so that you had a bit of a heads up about what might be coming. Oh, and of course, the third option is that we could be back full time with everybody. We just don't know yet. Okay, so break times and lunch times will be staggered. So all of the primary ones will be having their lunch and having their break time together. That's the plan at the moment. But it might be that they wouldn't be outside or in the lunch hall at other year groups. We might be having lunches in our wing. We're very fortunate in our school that we're open plan. So the classrooms open up on a sort of a big space in between, that we can have children sitting there to have lunches and things. So one of the things that's been talked about if we're not back with everybody at once is that we might have some of the children having their packed lunches in the wing as well. You don't need to worry about providing them with pencils, pencil cases, rubbers. We're going to give the children all of those things. So they'll get those on the first day. They'll have a tray that they keep everything in, and that will just stay in school. So they don't need to bring it back in. This is because we're asking you please to not send them in with lots and lots of different things. We won't be sending home homework bags initially either. The only thing that we want the children to be coming in and out with each day is a bottle of water, and if they're a packed lunch, nothing else. This is just to prevent things going in and out of school. Okay. We won't be able to social distance children. That's not possible for our age group. So our children instead it will be more about hand washing regularly at different points during the day. So we'll be enhancing lots of our hygiene routines. When they go to the toilets, there'll only be one of them at a time, things like this. So we'll be working on that more than we will trying to keep the children standing apart. I know we're doing that for the lining up purposes, but really once they're in school, it's not practical for us to be able to do that. We would ask that if your child's got a high temperature or a cough, can you please keep them at home for a week and the rest of the family to isolate for 2 weeks? Now, this is the NHS guidance, so this could change. I haven't looked for a couple of weeks, so it's possible it's changed already, but that's the current guidance at the moment. High temperature or a cough. The other thing is if they lose their sense of smell, that's an early signs of COVID as well. And this is just to protect anything from passing on around the school. Please don't send children in with school bags. I have said that. And at the moment, we're not able to invite parents in into school. This is guidance that we've got at the moment to minimize the number of people that are going in and out of the school. So what we would say is that usually we would maybe get you in the classroom at the end of the day to take photos. What we're going to do instead is we're going to meet you outside at the end of the school day on the school meadow, and we'll set up a photo opportunity where the staff can be there to help you take photos of the children with their families and things together. What we will do is as soon as we're able to invite parents into the school, we will of course invite you in. We have filmed a tour of the school, which is on our YouTube channel, so that you can have a look and see what the classrooms look like and have a look around the school. And we'll just have to keep you posted about that one. Hopefully we'll be able to have you in, even in small groups, as soon as we possibly can. And everything here, as you know, is subject to changes on the basis of guidance. Okay, so first day, no matter which model we're following, the children would be coming in for 9:30. This is to make sure that all of the older boys and girls are already in the building and out of the way before the primary ones come in, so that their playground's not all bustling and busy, because that can be quite overwhelming. Your child's teacher will be waiting for you by their classroom. So if you go down the left-hand side of the building, you'll find us there. If the weather's good, what we're planning to do is to sit outside with you at the start. So if your child is worried and doesn't want to separate from you straight away, that's fine. You can stay with them while we read a story and then try again and see if they're able to do that after the story. Okay. At the end of the day, we're going to have an arch set up in the front garden for you to take photos with us there to help and support with that as well. And at the bottom here, you can see I've made a list of what your children will need. Water bottle, a jacket is a really, really important thing. And I think a change of clothes would be really good as well. Accidents can happen in school, whether it's an accident because they wet themselves or whether it's an accident because they've fallen over in a puddle in the playground. These things happen. So if you're able to send in a change of clothes that we can just keep in school, and then if they have an accident, we can help them get changed and then we can send home the wet stuff to you. Even if children are well past being toilet trained and out of nappies and things, we still find sometimes that they forget when they're in school because they get really busy and these things can happen. So no school bag, no pencil case, and we don't need a PE kit either, because primary ones don't get changed for PE, they just go as they are. And that's because having 25 children get changed at once can be a little bit difficult to manage. So the children will just go in the however they're dressed that day for PE. So just make sure that whatever they're wearing is something that they can do PE in, something comfortable. Okay, once we return to full time, so once we've returned to normality, these are the times. So primary one are in from 8:45 till 2:30 every day, and then on a Friday they're 8:45 till 12:25. The whole school closes at 12:25 on a Friday. Primary 1 and 2 are the only ones that finish at 2:30 the rest of the week. Okay. But again, we would let you know if these times are reverting back to this or if they're changing. We ask that bicycles and scooters are not ridden in the playground, just because there's a lot of people there and it's very easy for somebody to get knocked over. And very important, if you're able to get there on time, it's much easier for the children to settle if they're coming in with their friends rather than a little bit later on. That can sometimes cause a bit of stress and upset. Do realise that sometimes these things happen and you can be running a bit late, people sleeping. These things happen, I know, but if possible, you can try and get them in on time. We've also included here just some hours for other parts of the school, just so you can see what they look like, and if you have siblings coming into other areas of the school as well, so you can see that. Okay, so our primary one team, who are all here today, there's myself, Mrs. McCarg, Mrs. Palmer, Miss Montgomery, and Mrs. Liddell are all here. I think if you go to our YouTube page, which there's links to it on our website and also on our Twitter, I think, if you were able to go in there, you'd find introductory videos from all of us, just so that you can see and hear a little bit more about us as well. And it's really great if you're able to show your child these videos just before they come back to school as well, so that they get to know who we are, so they know who they can talk to if they're struggling or if they need help with something. Some of our other staff have also recorded videos and put it on the website as well, so they can see who they are. Okay, so ways to keep up to date and find out about what's going on. We've got the council website, which is just up at the top, so that has the information for all the schools in the city. We run a text service, which we control from school. It means that we can send out text to parents with updates. However, you won't be on that service until the children start with us on the first day. It's just something to do with our system. We can't put you on in advance. It's got to be from the day that they start. So we can't send out texts prior to their first day in school, but after that you can start getting texts. For that reason, it's really important that you keep us up to date with your mobile phone numbers, so that we can keep in touch, because we'll text you about things like if there are any school closures, if the attendance patterns changing, if the model's changing, all of that would go out via text. Our school website is a great place for information about what's going on. There's also the Edinburgh Council transition page as well, which is Bear Hunt. And there's some lovely activities I know some of you have already been doing with your children, because I've seen some of them coming in to our Twitter and our email. So thank you for that.
It is changing.
Yeah.
Technology, when it wants to work.
Because of the way this is set up, I'm hosting the meeting, but Miss Montgomery is the one that's doing the presentation. So the kind of communication between takes a little bit of time. So apologies for that.
There we go. Okay, so another way that we keep in touch, which a few of you will know already because I think you've joined our page, is through Twitter. The school has a Twitter page for each stage of the school, and we ask that it's only parents of that stage who follow it. And any staff in the school, just as a sort of safety precaution. That's why you'll see the little padlock beside it. And again, just to keep things safe for you sending photos and things, that it's only staff and other parents of primary one who would see that page. We will post things about what we're doing in the classroom. And again, information on the models changing or hours changing or days for PE, just as an extra means of communicating with you. Some of you, again, will already follow us, are already following us, which is fab, and the photos and things that we've seen so far from you have been lovely. It's nice to see, put a face to a name on the lists that we've been given of who's in whose class. It's free to set up if you don't have already. If you just send us a little follow request, we might send you a little message if you're not at our nursery and we don't recognise your name, just to check that you are definitely a new primary 1 parent. But as soon as that happens, everything will be fine. If your page is private and it has a little padlock on it, if you like or you comment on something, we won't be able to see it. We try to reply to things that we get, but if your page is private, we won't see it, which is why you wouldn't get a reply from us if you do send us something. You, as some of you already done, sending us photos of home learning or things that you've been up to, or things about the bear hunt, or that you've got your teacher welcome pack from us. That's been fab. We can do that throughout the year as well. And then, as I say, the school has one as well, and all the other stages. Our PE teacher has one. For primary 1 and 2, Mr. Mowbray doesn't teach us. The class teachers do PE with you, but when they go into primary 3, they'll get him. But he posts, during lockdown, he's been posting some fun activities, so you might want to follow him and get some ideas from him. And our ESL teacher, Mrs. McDonald, posts some things as well, extra learning support. Primary 1 don't see her during the year, but once they go further through the school, they might see her at times as well. Learning journals, if you are a parent of our nursery already, your child will already have one of these, and this is how we've been communicating with you during lockdown. Some of you might have one of these from your old nursery, and if you do, we can request your nursery send it to us so that it just continues, so that you would still see the progression of their learning as they go through. This is what we will use as part of our, if it's a blended model, we're back to, we will use this again to send you the home learning things. Again, like Twitter, you can send us things back, but the only people that will see the things that you send back are your child's class teacher and Mrs. McCarg. So if you'd rather do it on a more private basis, that is where you can send them to. If you don't have a learning journal already, don't worry. We can set that up for you when you start with us. We just need your full name, your email address, and then we'll take a photo of your child to go on their profile. As you can see on the picture there, each child has their own profile with their picture on it and things for it all to go on there. So we can get that set up when you start with us in August. Keeping healthy, we're a very health promoting school. We do a lot of health week activities. We've got a lot of after school clubs that are linked to sports and health things like yoga and things like that. For break time, we encourage one small healthy snack. It's a very short break, it's only 15 minutes, so we want the children to get as much fresh air and run around and play with their friends and chat to their friends rather than be sitting eating or not have enough time to finish their snack. You can get your child milk, which will be done through Parent Pay, and I'll come on to more about Parent Pay on the next slide. But again, if you don't have to pay for milk if you don't want to. Your child can just bring a bottle of water and they will be able to have access to that throughout the day whenever they want it. Head lice can be a bit of an issue at school. The children are close together, so we ask that you check regularly, and if your child does have it, it's not a problem, just let us know. We will let everybody else know, but very discreetly. We don't say who has them, we just say there's an outbreak in the year group, can you just check and take measures to get rid of them. You can get stuff from the chemist quite easily. Health questionnaires, you should get one of these when you start with us in August, and it just gives us essential information about your child's health so that we know everything about them to ensure they're safe and looked after at school with us. Medication, some of you, I know from our nursery, have inhalers and things, or they might have allergies. If there is medication, we will still need a new form, or if you're a parent from out with, if your child has an inhaler, we'll need you to fill in medication forms so that we are able to administer the medication in school, and these can be got from our office. So if you drop your child off, you can just go back down to the office, fill all the forms in, and then they'll let us know that they're there and that we are allowed to then give the medication. Toothbrushing, obviously to start with, we might not be doing the toothbrushing, but usually we would do that every day with the children at some point, and we have regular visits from Child Smile. And you might have had them in your nursery. They do the varnish and things on the teeth, and they come in and do talks with the children and things like that. And normally we brush our teeth from nursery up to primary 4, so your child might have had that in their nursery as well. But obviously at the moment that won't be starting, but we would let you know when we were starting that. And if you didn't want your child to take part, you could just let us know, and we wouldn't do it with them. Parent Pay, it's a very secure website that all Edinburgh schools are now using. All Edinburgh schools have now gone cashless, so this is the only way that we can receive money from you. You can pay for trips, dinner money, milk, and it all's just linked to your debit or credit card, and you can go in and add the money as you want. Primary 1 to 3 get free school meals, so you wouldn't necessarily have to be paying for your school dinners, but when we're back to some sort of normality, school dinners would normally be on a 3 daily option rota, but you would still have to go in and choose what your child wants to eat, so that we know every day. We use a band system at Craighour Park, and so that we know what colour band to give them, so that the dinner ladies know what school dinner to give them. Your child doesn't have to know what they're having. We would get the list and we would tell them at the time, this is what mummy's ordered for you. If your child doesn't fancy the school dinners, you're more than welcome to send them with a packed lunch or a combination of the two, depending on what the meals are, the meal options are. We'd give you more information on the menu in August, because the catering services tend to change it during the summer holidays. If you are with our nursery at the moment, you should already have a Parent Pay account that we would have set you up for paying snack money. So that would just continue with you. You would still use the same account for that. But if you are a new parent to us, you will receive information on this in August. The office ladies will send out letters with steps on how to log into it and your username and password and things. School uniform. So here we have 2 of our current primary 1 children looking very smart. They actually sent us these pictures during lockdown, and they've been very helpful to us and have sent us, you might have seen from our SWAY presentation that we sent you, they've sent us lots of videos and photos of what they thought of their first year at Craighour Park, which has been really helpful. So our main school colours are red, black, grey and white. Your jumpers and cardigans don't have to have the school badge on them. They can just be plain in that colour. And another thing that we've not put on there is that I know sometimes in the summer the girls like to wear the sort of gingham dresses that are the red and white checked. So they would be perfectly acceptable as part of school uniform as well. Top tips that we've come across over the years just to keep us and you right. Considering the situation, we ask that they just bring a jacket, even if it is glorious sunshine like today. You never know, the weather here can change within 10 minutes. So we'd ask that every day they bring a jacket, because they will go outside in whatever weather. Unless it's really, really, really heavy rain, we try to get them out at break time and lunchtime just to get the fresh air. So any jacket every day would be grand. Labelling everything. Jumpers and cardigans have a tendency to get very mixed up. They all look exactly the same. They all are the same age. The cardigans tend to have the same buttons. So if your child's name is on their one, we will know to match that up with the right person, so you get all the jumpers back. It's amazing how many people get so far into the year and say we've got no jumpers or cardigans left because they've lost them all at school, and we can't match them up because their one's just not there. Things do get easily mixed up, and we try as much as possible to get them back to you, but if it's not got a name, it's more difficult to do. Shoes. Now, normally we would get the children to change shoes and have little gym rubbers, but again, with the current situation, we are saying that we won't be changing shoes. They'll just have the same shoes on all day. They're outside shoes. So we'd suggest comfortable ones that are for all weather, like trainers, etc. And Velcro straps are recommended, unless your child can tie their laces, but the more independent they are, the better. So if they can do Velcro straps, that would be even easier. If they can tie laces, then great. And again, just the thing about the jackets, a jacket every day is grand. So you can order our school uniform from this website, and normally they would have the option to get it delivered to school and you could pick it up from there, but because the school is closed at the moment, they do an option to deliver it to your house. There is a cost for postage though, but as I said before, unbranded uniform without the school badge on it is absolutely fine. As long as it's in school colours, we don't mind at all. You might also be entitled to a clothing grant and or free milk. There is a criteria for this though, so you can check the council website for the criteria, or you could contact our school office and they can give you more information. and information about how you apply for this. I think there's definitely forms to be filled in, and then once the council have the forms and agree the funding, they then let the school know. No deal is made of if you get free milk, the children, we just get a list of who's getting milk, so sometimes we don't even know if they're free or not. It's just a list of who's to get milk, and they would all have it together, and usually in primary one we would have our milk with our story after playtime, which is a nice relaxing time for the children. So I think I'm now passing over to Mrs. Liddell, who's going to talk about our curriculum. Is Mrs. Liddell there?
Sorry, that's it. So I forgot to mute myself. Yeah, sorry about that. Yeah, hi everyone. As you will know, the curriculum in Scotland is the curriculum for excellence, and we obviously follow that in school too. It's set out so that it helps our children and young people to gain the knowledge and skills and attributes that they need for a 21st century life, and it places them very much at the centre. And at Craiggower, we do very much like to place our children at the centre of all the learning that they do. It's divided up into 8 curricular areas, as you can see from the slide. So along the top, we have literacy, numeracy, maths and health and wellbeing. They are considered as being the important 3 and are the responsibility for all. But within that, we also have our religious and moral education, expressive arts, science, social studies and technologies. Now, those are the overarching titles that we have for our areas, but they're also broken down within that into experiences and outcomes, and it's those that we use to plan the lessons and the learning that happens within the class. And often the lessons might just focus on one area of the curriculum, but quite often we like to group them together and do cross-curricular topics. So one of our topics that we quite often do in primary one is our mini beast topic. So we like to bring in our data handling and every aspect from maths into that, so as well as the science that they'll be learning and some of the social studies about their local community, it also brings in maths and numeracy. So it's quite a good way to show the children how they can use their learning across different areas, as opposed to numbers and maths is just in maths. It can be used in different areas, so we like to do that with them. As well as being broken down in areas, it's then broken down into levels. Just wait for the next slide. Sorry. There is actually, while the slide's just coming up, there is actually 5 levels, but in primary school we only focus on 3 of these levels, and your children have already started one of them, and that's early level, and then that will continue, and as it says on the slide here, it's part of primary 1. Once they finish early level, they move on to first level, which is P2 to primary 4, and then second level is primary 5 to primary 7. Now, even though it's set like this is more a guidelines for where the hope children should be. But like I said earlier, children are placed at the centre of it, so the children move through these levels at their own pace. Activities, targets and that are set to individual children should they require that. So we really do like the children to move at their own pace, and if there's any that are going ahead of that, then obviously we will support them as well. But it's very important that the children are at the centre and we plan with them as well. I think I'm handing over to Mrs. Palmer now.
Hi there. Okay, so at Craiggower we use a play-based learning approach, and this allows us to provide a child-focused curriculum as it lets children explore and learn for themselves. We also do teaching time as well, but a lot of our activities in the play will be focused on the learning that they've had, so it'll be going over the learning that we've already taught them. We like the children to develop different skills through their play as well, so investigating and problem solving skills are more easily developed through children playing and learning themselves rather than it being specifically taught to them. With the new setup that based on bubbles and trying to have less contact, we are going to be having the children in the classroom for the play, whereas previous years we opened up the wing and the children kind of mixed within classes. We hope that that will be something that we can do later on in the year as well, but for now it will be the kind of classroom play to start with. We will also be doing all the resources, the play resources, will be cleaned at the end of every day for hygiene, and the children will be encouraged to wash hands in between playing with different stations as well, to try and stop any germs from spreading. Next slide, please. So here are just some examples of what our play looks like in primary 1. So if we were learning, say, the sound P as a class, then the resources and activities that are out might be focused or leaning towards that. So there might be a pirate ship out to try and get the children to link to the P for pirate ship, so that they're starting to make those connections themselves. We might have a craft activity with a P in it, where they maybe make a pirate out of a capital P, and it's basically just trying to link the learning that we're doing. But there is also construction that might be out, that we would maybe have some challenge cards that are getting them to think about what they could build and things like that. So there's a lot of thought that goes into the play-based learning from the teacher's side. It's not just, oh, we've put Lego out for the children, they can play with that. There is thought and steps to try and get the children to make the connections that we're trying to get them to make too. And our job as teachers as well is to go around and help the children to scaffold that learning too, and have those learning conversations with the children, which is a really nice thing to do too. I think I'm handing back to Miss Liddell now.
Hi, yep, me again. So it's just our literacy that we do. As I've mentioned earlier, it's one of the important aspects of the curriculum. And within primary 1 at Craigiever, we start with rhyme, and then we move our way through syllables and then onto compound words. And that's all before we start our actual literacy programme looking at sounds. This is all because it's based on building up the children's listening and different abilities to hear within sounds and things. So in rhyme, they're listening to the rhymes, syllables, they're breaking it down and hearing the beats within words. And then obviously compound words, it's about bringing words together to make new words. And then when we go into our single sounds, which we follow then with a literacy programme for, they've already developed listening skills, so they can hear the sounds. And then when we start blending and everything, they can hear them coming together and then hear individual sounds within. As Mrs. Palmer had mentioned, we try to run our play base alongside the literacy, so activities are often part of that. And then they also take part in various activities within the class. And then next slide, please. So when we move on to the sounds, this is how our lessons are kind of broken down. We introduce the sound. So we start off with the action. So each sound has a set action. The one on the slide here is bit. So the action for bit is like they're hitting a bat, and then it's got a song that goes with it about the bats. So it's all about giving them little things that help them remember it. So as well as what it looks like, what it sounds like, and then how it can obviously be used in different words. We then go on to word building once we've got a few more sounds, where we use our magnetic boards and we crash the sounds together, blending them to make the words. We watch videos. The children quite like Geraldine the giraffe, so we watch a lot of Geraldine videos where she goes on hunts to find words that start with the sound. And then Alpha Blocks is quite good as well. Some of you might actually already watch that at home, and that has different ways of making the sounds as well. So we just encourage practicing sounds at home little and often, because that can really help the children, even if it's spotting them in the environment and things like that. There's a bus. Bus begins with B. So it's quite simple things like that that you can do to help with the children when they're learning their sounds. And then once we've got our sounds, we move on to reading. So if you've all seen this way already, there is a bit in that about reading where we spoke about your children have already started their reading journey, learning to read. So whether it's recognising their own name, familiar words around the environment. Quite often my son recognises McDonald's because of the golden arches. So already started his reading there. And then we introduce common words. So that's just words that they recognise that they can't sound out. Once we've done all that and we've built up their sounds, we will then introduce reading books. Initially, we hand out storybooks for you to share with your children, and obviously if you're reading at home at the moment, then that's brilliant because it gets children used to the format of a book, reading from left to right, understanding that the words say things and they have meaning. Even the pictures, we can start off by reading pictures as well. That's very important. So we do all that before we even introduce reading books to your children. And once we do, it'll be a book a week to begin with, so that they get used to it, and then they can do it without just memorising it. They're actually sounding out and everything like that. Yep, so that's literacy. And then we have our cursive handwriting. So as part of learning our sounds, we learn how to write our sound, what it looks like. And we use cursive because there's a lot of research into cursive writing about the movement that you create with it, with starting on the line, which we call a runway. So they'll start on the runway and they take off. So the children are actually building up muscle memory, and that helps them to retain that when they come to spelling. And then obviously with it being cursive, once they move on to joining their handwriting, it makes that flow much easier because it's already got the little joins on that they need to connect their letters. Yep. Oh, now over to Mrs. Palmer for numeracy.
Thank you. Edinburgh City use SEAL, which is looking at early level numeracy. So it's about children understanding the number, so they can understand that 4 objects is the same as the number 4. They can see that 2 and 2 make 4. So it's all about mental maths and getting them to build up the foundations of their numeracy. We also cover math topics. We do time, money, measure, shape, pattern, fractions. We do problem solving, data analysis. So we would do set lessons on these as well as run this throughout the play base as well. So if we're doing measure, might be doing weighing. So we would have teacher time where we would discuss weighing as a class or in small groups. But then throughout the play base, there would be maybe scales for them to experiment and have a go themselves as well, which is a really nice way to involve the play. So it kind of runs parallel, just like the literacy runs, so does the numeracy, and the maths runs through it as well. Outdoor learning is a massive plays a massive role for us at Craighour. It provides pupils with an opportunity to experiment, to explore, to make observations, to get them to take risks as well. It lets children grow in confidence and also build friendships as well, because they feel like they've got a little bit more freedom when they're not in the classroom. So it's really nice to kind of watch children and how they develop differently when they're in the outdoors. Usually we go outside at least 2 afternoons a week. However, this might be more this year just with the new guidance to be outside as much as possible. So we will definitely be out 2 afternoons, but we might also be out more often. We go out in all weathers, so unless it's absolutely chucking it down, we are outside there having great fun outdoors. So please make sure you've got a waterproof jacket, warm clothes. So if it's glorious sunshine in the morning, just like Miss Montgomery said, please make sure you've packed a jacket in the bag for them, because by the afternoon in Scotland it could be pouring a rain again. So please try and make sure that they've got a nice warm or waterproof coat, sensible footwear as well, and hats and gloves if it's the colder winter weather, because we do still go outside in winter as well. As Miss McCarg said, a change of clothes is really helpful for us too, just because the children are outdoors, they could have an accident and fall, slide down the mud. They might get soaking wet feet and be uncomfortable the rest of the day. So if they had some socks and leggings or joggers or something that they could change into, that would be really helpful for us. It doesn't need to be school stuff, so you don't need to go buy extras for it, just something old that they've got, and we can change them into it while we dry their school uniform or their school clothes that they've got there. If it's not dried and it's getting sent home, that's the only time you'll get it back. So if we can keep that little spare clothing at school, that saves us having to transfer it to and from the house. At the moment, obviously, we're trying to limit as much coming into school as possible. So if we can just keep that at school, and the only time you'd get it home is if there had been an accident and it's on your child and the school uniform's in their bag that's got that in it. But please replace that as soon as possible if you can. Yeah, so we also do Play Pod, which is really fun for the children. I really love Play Pod sessions. It's basically junk that children get to play and create with, and they just make the most amazing things. They've got fantastic imaginations, children, and Play Pod is a really great way to let children explore that on a larger scale as well. Like quite often they'll play with Lego and they'll make things, but this is on a big scale where they've got crates and things that they can build together. So it's a lot about teamwork, it's a lot about them working with others, and it's about using their own imagination and what can they create with these things. I've seen people making stages and having a whole band set up, or they've made a house and a kitchen, and so it's fantastic. we really do encourage children to experiment and explore, and we do risky play in the sense that if they were climbing trees, we would support with that, and we wouldn't be saying no, stop climbing the tree. We would be saying, okay, if we're climbing the tree, what risk have we got to take into account here? We find this really helps build their self-esteem, and it makes them more aware of the hazards and dangers that they are coming across as well. So it gives them an ability to cope with future challenges is what we see from it. So it's a really nice way for us to have a controlled environment for the children to be outdoors, to take that little bit of risk that they're maybe not getting as much of anymore. So yeah, it's a great way. I love being outdoors. I think that's me. I think I'm handing back to Miss McCarg now. Thank you.
Yes, you are. Thank you, Mrs. Palmer. So we're nearly finished. Don't worry. I'm sorry that we've had to talk at you for so long. Usually what we would do is invite you into school, and we do this as part of a tour of the school and a tea and a coffee and things. And we've not been able to do that this year. So appreciate that this has maybe been a little bit drier than you might have really wanted, but we're doing our best at the moment. Okay, so what would you need to do if you need to speak to your child's teacher? So you will see the teacher at the start and the end of the day when you're dropping off and collecting your child. But what we would say at the start of the day is if you can please try not to catch the teacher for a conversation, because at that point she's responsible for her whole class, and she really needs to be with them. So if you really desperately need to speak to her, can you arrange to speak to her after school? What we would do for the moment while we can't have parents in the building is that we would just arrange to call you at home. So again, it would be really good if you could make sure that we've got an up-to-date telephone number. The other thing you can do is you could call our school office and ask if somebody could give you a call back as well. Or you could write a little note, give it to your child to pass to us as they come in the morning. So lots of different ways. Parental involvement. So we have a really active, really thriving parent council who are always looking for new members. So I would really, really encourage you, if you're able to go along and join in with some of the things they've done. They've done some fantastic things for us in the past, fundraising. They've come in to help with events that we've had on in school. They serve teas and coffees when we have parents in for lots of different things that are going on. So I think it would be really, really good if you're able to join them. You can do that by looking up their page on Facebook, and they'll let you know when the next meeting's on. So we thought you might like to see what our current primary ones think of us. So here are some of their comments that they've made. Especially like the one there from Aisha about spinning on the chair because it was 5 times for her birthday. That's lovely. Okay, can we go for the next slide? Thank you. Okay, so classes next year. You will know who your class teacher is by now because you should probably have received your letter. Now, there has been some changes this year already. As I said to you at the start, we started with over 90 primary ones on our list and have actually dropped down now to 79. As a result of that, the council will not let us appoint another new primary one teacher. So what's going to happen is we have to wait and see if these numbers drop down even further. We do have families that we know that are moving, people who've got placement requests into other schools. So this could happen that the numbers will drop below 75, in which case we will not have a primary 1-2, and we will have primary 1A, primary 1B, and primary 1C. So Mrs. Liddell would be the primary 1A teacher. And she's just waving there so you know who she is. However, at the moment, we don't know what's going to happen because the placement request to other schools has been held off until July. Usually it's done by now, so this would be sorted. We would be able to let you know at the start of August, hopefully, who the teacher is, which is why at the moment you have a pack with a picture of me for your flat teacher, because I would take responsibility for the class until we had a new teacher for that class. I know this is not an ideal situation, and I am sorry about this, but the reason that I gave you my details was because I wanted to make sure that the children had somebody to transition to, an adult that they will know when they come to school. So I'd really encourage you, if you've got a child in primary 1A, to check our website, to look at the videos, play the videos of all of us to your child, and then if it comes to a change and we do have 3 straight classes, make sure you've played them Mrs. Liddell's video so that they know who she is when they come back. Unfortunately, we're not going to know until August now. I know I said in the letter we would know by the end of this week, but because our numbers have even dropped this week, because they've dropped so much, they're not willing to make a decision just yet. So it's going to be August before we know the answer to that one. Again, I'm sorry, unfortunately, that's very much out of our hands at the moment. Okay, so where to find out more information? You can see here that you'll find out your child's class from the letter that you were sent, the child's teacher from the letter. Whether we're at 33%, 50% or full, you should know, because you will have you'll have that on the top of your letter. Whether we're coming back at these different levels will depend on government guidance at that point. So you'll need to wait and see. Check our website for that. Which days your child will be in school, that would be the model that I showed you. Again, you maybe need to check the website for that, but we won't know until August. What will the classroom look like? There's a video on our YouTube channel, Craig Gower Park Learning Links, that shows you what the classrooms look like. We've also got a tour of the school on there as well. This presentation, I'm aiming to put this up on the website. I'm saying aiming to because I haven't done that yet, so I can't 100% guarantee I can definitely get it up there. I'm going to try and do that later on today or possibly tomorrow. If not, we'll see if we can tweet it out to you or find another way to get it to you. It might be on the YouTube channel. I'm not sure yet. Start date would be the website. Again, it would depend on the model. And what the children are doing on their first day, that's in your letter that we sent you. And timings for the start of term is also on the website. So I've put here at the bottom of the PowerPoint, there's links to our YouTube page and to our school website, because they're basically the best places that you can get information at the moment. I know that thank you again for coming. And what we're going to do is we're going to open it up and give you an opportunity to ask us questions that we've not answered. What I would like to say to you is that we know that the start of the year is going to be really, really tough for you. So some of us here are mums as well. And we know that having had your children at home for all this time, passing them to somebody else and trusting them with somebody else is going to be a really, really big deal. So we're going to do our very, very best to make sure that your child has the most positive experience they possibly can starting primary 1, because that's really, really important to us. We want the children to be happy, we want them to feel safe, and we want them to enjoy being with us. So we'll do everything we can to make sure that that happens. Right, okay, if you'd like to ask us a question, if you could just switch on your microphone, that's all you need to do.
I need to stop the recording if somebody's going to ask a question.
I do need to stop the recording, thank you for reminding me. Okay, I'll stop the recording now.